Perfect. All right. Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's One Woman's Opinion podcast. I'm your host, Carolyn Mills. Today we have a special guest, Kenneth Tigar. I pronounced that correctly. You said right, like
Yeah,
tiger.
just like the
Perfect.
animal.
Um, and he has appeared on two episodes of Cheers. In the first season, he was in an episode called Boys in the Bar as Fred, and he returned in season four playing the character Dr. Lowell Greenspan in the episode called Don Juan as Hell. According to Internet Movie Database, Mr. Tiger has over 180 acting credits, including appearing on Charlie's Angels, Wonder Woman, Eight is Enough, Barney Miller, The Facts of Life, Webster, Night Court Elf, Newhart, and many other TV shows. He's also appeared in some movies, including 18 Again with George Burns. Most recently, he was seen in an episode of Atoll, which I hope I pronounced right, playing Dr. Newman. Welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thank you. So before we talk about Cheers, I have some questions about other things. And I was looking information up on you and I saw you were born in Chelsea, Massachusetts.
Right.
So I was just curious, are you a Red Sox fan?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, then I can talk to you.
Oh, good. Well, that's good.
I'm from New York, so I'm a Red Sox fan and it doesn't really go well here.
Whoa, that's brave. My
Yeah.
sister is a super Red Sox fan. When she's gone down to spring training, and she goes up to Fenway Park every once in a while. And
Nice.
she lived in New York for a long time, and she would go to Yankee Stadium wearing her Red Sox paraphernalia. I mean, that's brave.
Yeah, I've done that. I actually started, my family are sports fanatics, and I
Uh,
just did not get sports at all growing up until around 2004. And then baseball started making sense to me. But they're like, okay, if you're going to live in this house, you have to pick teams. Because Cheers is my favorite show. And as a little kid, I was convinced Sam Malone really played for the Red Sox. So I picked all Boston teams, and that's how that happened.
well, that's great.
And so no, you were in the movie 18 again with George Burns. And I'm just
Mhm.
curious, what was he like? What
Oh,
was it like?
very nice. He was a very nice man. I mean, just laid back and easygoing, and sort of like the image, with a cigar,
Yeah.
and there he is.
And so you guest starred on several TV shows, and I was curious which one did you enjoy doing the most?
Well, the one I did the most really was sort of Barney Miller. I always had a grand time doing that. Um, it was sort of old time television because it was one of the few shows where you could actually come and be a different character every season. And I did 6 episodes, and I only played the same character twice. And they were all different. They were all just absolutely insane. And and I loved the people. And Danny Arnold, who was the creator of the show, was really one of the few major geniuses that I came across in Hollywood. He was an amazing man. He wrote them, and he had a real firm control over them, and really understood the characters, understood and understood the audiences too. And he was one of the first people who developed multiple cameras shooting independently, where it was very difficult way back when to edit videotape. And he devised a scheme whereby he would have one camera shooting a monitor. There were four different cameras, and each camera had an image, and it would show up on a screen. And he would put the four um, TV screens together and put a another camera and shoot the four screens so that when he was editing, he could see what all of the four images were like simultaneously. And it was really one of the very first ways of progressing film editing to the way it is now. I mean, Danny was an amazing man, and I liked him because he hired me.
So you said you played different characters. Which characters did you like the best on that show?
Well, the one that's known the best is the werewolf. I
Yep.
I played a guy who believed that he was a werewolf. That one people
That's one I know.
remember. Yeah. And that's the one character that came back at the end, the very last season. They brought me back, and I was no longer a werewolf. I was cured. Now I was possessed. Um, and that was great fun, being in but the very first one that I did, um, the last five I always ended up in the cell doing strange things. In fact, when I would appear on the set uh, for Monday for first script read through, Hal Linden would see me walk into the studio and say, "Oh, it's going to be another one of those episodes," because they were really far out. And Reinhold Wiggy, who eventually did Night Court, wrote for them and some wonderful stuff. But the very first one that I did was a guy who had been mugged by a little old lady, and uh, and I came in and I did that episode, and then after that, they just hired me to do crazies. But my favorite one, finally answering your question, um, uh, I played Jesus. They brought me in one episode, and they had arrested me in Central Park, and I was claiming to be Jesus. And it was a wild episode. I loved that. It's one of the my favorite things that I've ever done.
I've seen the series, but I only remember certain episodes. Like I remember the
Sure.
werewolf one because
Well,
everybody remembers that.
the people remember that one.
Have you ever been in anything that you kind of wish people, you don't have to name it, but that you kind of wish people never see, if
Yes.
that makes sense? Okay.
Oh, yes. I don't like watching myself. I don't watch liking myself at all. But when I first started out, it was important for me to watch myself because I would look at the screen and think, "Oh my God, what am I doing? This is just awful." And I had to figure out what it was that I was doing that I hated so much, so I could get rid of it. And there was one show which I will not name, when I watched it, and I just had to get so drunk to watch it. It was such an awful experience. I I don't remember anything. I just hope it never airs again.
And I know you've done movies, TV, and theater. Which do you like doing the
Oh
best?
my God, I loved them all for very different reasons.
Right.
Um, uh, I love working on stage because, um, well, I love working in front of a camera. Let me start there because the camera sees everything. You have to be very truthful when you're working with a camera. You can't lie at all, and so you have to be very direct. In theater, you've got to reach the back row. And so, if you can combine the reality of film with the theatricality of the stage, that's very interesting to do on stage. And then conversely, if you can have that kind of theatricality that you bring to the stage and still make it very real, then doing work on film is very exciting too. Oddly enough, um, given the context that we're talking in right now, um, the format that I like the least actually is the sitcom, because you don't, if you're working in film, one camera film, there isn't generally almost any rehearsal. It's all very immediate. And so you're working on instinct and reality and what's happening around you. When you're working on stage, everything is very highly rehearsed, if you're lucky. Um, uh, and you've been working on the material for a certain period of time and you know where you are. Sitcoms are an amalgam of both. Um, you probably know that uh, with a sitcom, traditionally the first day is the read through, and then the writers are all sitting around and they discover what they think works and what doesn't work, and then they start rewriting. And you rehearse for maybe 3 days. Fourth day is the camera blocking, and then you do it in front of an audience or not an audience, but you do it. And what happens is that you don't have enough time to really rehearse it properly, and you lose the spontaneity because you've been sort of doing it a little bit. Um, Now I know that there are a lot of actors out there, particularly sitcom actors, who would violently disagree with me, but that's my own personal feeling. I've done a lot of sitcoms, but I'm not as fond of the form as I am of one camera uh, film or TV or a stage.
I've done not acting, but all tech side of theater.
Uh-huh.
And I told her that I was like, I go to all the rehearsals and I know them so cold. I used to take when I was in college, I'd take my books, I'd be like doing homework, and then I'd stop, do the cue, go back. Because like you said, you were so much, I just knew it cold.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to be said for that.
So let's look at the cheers. Can you tell us about the audition process when you got the role of Fred in the first season of Cheers?
I can't. I don't remember auditioning at all for it. And it's conceivable I may not have. Um, that was a very interesting episode in terms of casting. Um, the people who did Cheers did know me, because I'd actually had a chance to audition for one of the one of the regulars in the bar when they were putting the pilot together. And I did not get the part, probably rightly so, because uh, the people that they cast were probably far better than I was. But
Which part did you audition for?
well, I'm not even going to say that.
It
Um,
wasn't Diane, was it?
no, it was not
Because I don't
Diane.
think you'd be able to play the Shelley Long
No,
part.
no, but the my problem was, although I came from Boston, I've never really done a good Boston accent. And the people walked into the bar had a real Boston accent. I've never been able to do that. When I grew up, my parents made damn sure that I didn't have it, and they didn't have it either. They were just working class people, and wasn't they were university professors or anything like that. My father was an electrician, my mother was a secretary, but by God, we were going to speak properly. And so because I had had a chance to audition, they knew me as an actor. And when we got to Boys in the Bar, I am not sure that what I'm about to tell you is accurate or not, in terms of how they cast it. But I do know that the casting director was a very interesting man named Stephen Kolzak. And I believe he had gone to Harvard. Very bright, very nice guy, um, and alas, died quite young. Um, I, my hunch is that he was gay. I believe he died of AIDS pretty early on. He was very highly respected and esteemed, and indeed, the Casting Society of America has an award now in his name, in his memory. When they got to this episode, as I understand it, Steve told the producers that he was going to cast the show in such a way that the people in the bar, some of them would be gay and some of them would not be gay in real life,
Right.
and that they would not know who was which. And Steve, my guess is, did know from a lot of people. Um, so I'm not sure how much auditioning they did for that. I don't remember auditioning, but my memory from a lot of things like that is in one head, out the other. It just it. I don't have a lot of.
Well, it was like
Um,
40 something years ago, too.
yeah, it was a long time ago. I remember certain things about that show, but I do remember that Steve had said, "You're not going to know who's who." And it seemed very important for that episode.
I actually I mean I rewatched it when I did the episode for this podcast, but then this week I rewatched it again before your interview, so I didn't forget anything. And I noticed something that I didn't notice before when they're all in the bar room, I mean in the pool room, and Sam says he's going to get rid of them and because he's afraid of losing his regulars. You're in the background and you're cheering too, even before
Mhm.
you kiss him on the cheek. So it's like you're right. I mean, not only like you said with the casting, but even watching it, we don't know who it is because it's played so well.
Yeah, well, that was the idea, and that definitely was the idea. Um, and it was groundbreaking episode at that time. I mean, it was just the beginning of the time when what we would call maybe gay liberation was beginning. Stonewall. I mean, these were all brand new concepts. There were almost no gay people on television, uh, and there were there. I know that there was one guy in the crowd that probably came off as very gay. I have not had a chance to look at it again. I've just been really busy
Okay.
recently, but I remember certain things. And there was an actor named Michael Kearns who was in it, and Michael um, was definitely really out as gay, even at that point. And in fact, Michael, I think he'd written a book about it, and he had he was one of the people I believe who helped start what I think now is called GLAAD, GLAAD,
Right.
one of the first gay and lesbian award organizations. He was very he was very insistent that gays become. He was an activist. He was a gay activist, and he's in the crowd. And I hope that he would not be terribly upset if I mentioned the fact that he's just a little bit Nellier than some of the other people in the crowd. I mean, he's a very flamboyant guy. He's a wonderful actor. I haven't seen him in years and years and years, but he's a really nice guy, very bright, very good actor. But he wasn't hiding anything. Um, and I believe he was one of the people that left the bar as being not gay.
Right.
So um, Stephen Kolzak was really sort of mixing it up.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew or not, and I forgot the guy's name, but not long before the episode was made and stuff, there was an actual real baseball player who had retired and came out, but I forgot his name.
I did, and I must admit, after I got in touch with you, I did a little bit of research, and I saw that, but I don't remember his name either. But it was based on a real story. Yeah.
So the actual cast itself, what was it like working with them? Were they nice and
Oh my
how did you
God,
get along with
yes.
them?
Very nice. And I think everybody realized that we were doing something really a little unusual. And because of that, uh, there was a real camaraderie. Um, some of the people knew each other. I did know Michael. I'm trying to remember whether I knew anybody else. Nothing else that I can remember. Um, But when you have a crowd that large in television, people are bound to know each other. It's really a very small business.
Yeah.
It seems that you turn on the tube and there are thousands and thousands of actors, but it's really a very small group.
I like from listening to other podcasts, I've heard some people talk about when they've guest starred on certain shows that some cast are very clicky and they almost like ignore them completely or they're not very friendly, and then other people are like and they're just welcoming. So
That's
I didn't know
true.
how.
I've experienced both,
Yeah.
and it's not fun when you come in and they're clicky because you don't have a chance to really grow to the fullest, to give the best performance you can because you're not really interacting with those people. There are a lot of there are not it doesn't happen very often, but I've been on shows where, the egos of the people doing the show is bigger than their talent, and it's not a fun situation. Those are just money jobs.
Yeah. It's interesting because you said about how with big groups whatever that people know each other of course and but I've seen like I've heard like the opposite like listening to Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson's podcast. I've heard Ted Danson, he's done on other things, talk about how big a fan he is of Dick Van Dyke, and I'm like, wow, famous people have they're fans of other people. I'm like,
Oh,
I figured you all knew
absolutely.
each other and you're not fans.
When that's true, and Ted he's got a very good reputation as being just a really good guy, and I liked working with him. Oh, I just remembered there was somebody on the set that I knew. I knew Rhea, um, because I had through other shows, through Barney Miller and certain things like that, I'd gotten to meet a bunch of people that included Danny DeVito. It's a sort of strange situation. Danny had done a play in San Francisco, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I think that he did the same part in the movie eventually. Um, uh, and Max Gale, who was in Barney Miller, whom I'd met on Barney, Max played the Indian in that production, and I knew certain of those people that were in that production, and so because of that, I knew Rhea a little bit, and so it was nice walking onto the set and having a friend.
Nice. Um,
And she, by the way, is terrific. She's really nice, great fun, nice to work with. Just I haven't seen her in decades either, but a nice person.
I've heard that because obviously the part she plays is always that mean woman that
Yeah.
doesn't like pretty much anybody except for Sam. And I was like, but I heard she's really nice.
Yeah, really. I mean, some people are the exact opposite of the people that they play. I mean, Larry David, for example, he's not like that at all. He's a pussycat. He's a really sweet man. Nobody believes it, but it's true.
My mom used to tease me because I was like obsessed, still am, with movie stars. I mean, I just like I love the people mags, everything. I like that kind of world. That's why I do theater. But she would tease me because I would watch Melrose Place, and I don't know if you're familiar with the show or not, but Heather Locklear's character is just not a nice person. So I'd be like, no, mom, I said I've read about her. She's really a nice person. And she's like, why do you feel the need to convince me something we don't even know? I was like, because I don't like that people are saying bad things about people just because of who they play.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean that is a problem that certain people have. Um, Harry Hamlin, for example, was on L.A. Law, and a really wonderful actor, very a smart and gifted actor. And after L.A. Law, he did a movie where he played a gay character. And Harry said afterwards that it destroyed his career, um, because people identified him with that rather than with the LA Law. And he just stopped being a leading man as much as he
Yeah.
had been before. It's very difficult sometimes the images that you have, and particularly when you do a series. You Ted, I believe, has done other series after Cheers, but some people can't. They find it very hard. Max Scale, for example, on Barney, he's worked, but he's never had that kind of um, visibility that he had when he was doing Barney Miller. People really associated him with that, and it was hard to do other things after that.
I recently found out Ted Danson actually now has the record for the most sitcoms that he's done, like
Really?
as regular cast member. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I forgot how many. It's like quite a bit. It's like somewhere between 8 and 12. I don't remember, but he's done a lot of
Whoa.
different sitcoms. I was like, yeah, I was like, wow. Obviously, some did better than others.
Yeah. Well, I guess he
So
likes the form.
yeah, apparently. You obviously I actually have it on here that Boys in the Bar was a groundbreaking episode, which you talked about. So how did
Yeah.
you feel about it personally doing it, being a part of
I
it?
was I was very excited being in it. Um, I did see it once, but I've never seen it again. As I said, I hate watching myself. Um, but I thought that it came out very well and that it did what it was supposed to do. Um, and I hate to use the word proud, but I was proud to be in that. And there are shows every once in a while you think, I was part of that one. That was a good one. That's nice. It's a good feeling.
So, people that listen to the podcast have also asked me to ask questions. I have those. And one person wanted to know about the working environment from shows like Cheers, which is basically all adult, and then you were on Growing Pains, which has kids and stuff. So how
Yeah.
is the working environment different?
Well, it's not that different because of adults versus children. If you're working with really young children and they have to keep going to school, then it's strange because you're working under time constraints. You can only work on certain hours of the day, and then you don't necessarily work logically on a script. You work with the kid, and then you work with the adults. But that doesn't happen very often. Normally, the differences between the shows are really defined by the chemistry of the people working on the show. Um, Certainly, some of I mean, Growing Pains, it was a very tight family. It was a very nice bunch of people. And you felt as if you were part of the family. They welcomed you into the family. Um, I can't remember the name of the show that took place in a girls' school. Um,
Facts of life.
yeah, um, there they were all very nice people, but and I don't use the word click in a bad way. I mean, the way we used it before when we
Yeah.
were talking. But they were all young and they had a lot in common, and so they were able to relate to each other in ways that I was not. Uh, I was just older, too
Yeah.
old. And so that's a different environment. I was not excluded. I was not made to feel unwelcome. I had a very good time with them and doing the show. Um, but it wasn't the same as working in a family. And so I think that just the chemistry of the individual show and the individual people makes more of a difference than something like that generally.
Another person asked about the werewolf character you played in Barney Miller, but you already actually talked about that.
Well,
And
what did they ask?
oh, they just asked what it was like playing the part of yeah, I said playing Barney Miller, the part of werewolf in Barney Miller.
That was amazing, um, because that was the second one I did. Um, and the first, as I said, the first one was playing guy who'd been mugged by a little old lady, and all of a sudden I get a call. There was no auditioning. After the first one, they would just call me and say, "Come in and do another one." And I got a call through my agent. They wanted me to do this, and all I knew was that it was a werewolf, and they wanted to base it on the kind of thing in the Ionesco play, um, Rhinoceros, where an actor, actually in Broadway, it was Zero Mostel, uh, turns into a rhinoceros in front of you, but not with makeup, not with any visual effects, but just through the body. It makes you believe that he's turned into a rhinoceros. And they wanted to do the same kind of thing uh, for Barney Miller for this character. And this was the first one that was written, I believe, by Reinhold Wigge. Um, and he had seen me and he wrote it for me, from what I understand. Bless him forever for that. But when we did it, um, Barney Miller was a very great show for many reasons, but one of them was because they had an extremely small writing staff. And so the writing staff always knew the characters really well. Um, and so they were able to write very carefully for the show. But because the staff was so small, they were always running behind. And when we did the very first read through of the werewolf episode, the they had only written the first half. Now, my character, which people remember, doesn't come in until the second half, if I remember correctly. Certainly not early on. And so we came on the very first rehearsal and to the read through, and we got to the act break, and I'm still not on. And it's this huge thing that they want me to do of turning into a werewolf, and there's no script, and I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. So they were Danny said, we'll get you a script before tomorrow. And I'm sitting in my apartment waiting and waiting. And finally, there's a messenger who brings a script by around, midnight. And I look at it and I think, oh my Lord, how am I ever going to do this? Because the show was running behind, we really sort of lost a day of rehearsal. When we got to camera blocking, which was the fourth day, we only got about half of the show camera blocked by the time the day was over. So when we got to doing it in front of a live audience, only half of it was technically ready. The other half, meaning my half, wasn't technically ready at all. We could do the lines, but the cameras weren't catching it properly. So what we had to do after the audience left was to redo the second half just for the cameras. And we were shooting until 3 o'clock in the morning the next day. And I remember being on the bars howling at around 2 or 3 in the morning, doing it, over and over so that the cameras could get it right. It was an exhausting experience, but it was as exhilarating as almost anything I have ever done in my life because it was clear, it was funny. Yeah, and it was. I talked about Danny also as being an innovator in terms of uh, technical materials and for the editing. Um, Danny was also a leader in doing sitcoms without studio audiences. They were almost all done with studio audiences, and even after Barney Miller, most of them were. But because Barney was always running late, there were always problems when the studio audience came in, just getting it technically right. And finally, by the next season, after the werewolf episode, um, the last 4 seasons that I did of Barney Miller didn't use a live audience at all. It was all canned laughter after that.
Which do you prefer, the live or the canned laughter?
In many ways, I prefer not having an audience. It feeds into what I was talking about of not having enough rehearsal time. I find it difficult to play a live audience like that unless you're doing stand up, which I've done, but it's very difficult. But that's much more spontaneous. But the sitcom, it's a weird. I find it a weird amalgam uh, of forms, and so I'm not as fond of playing in front of a live audience in that form.
Another person asked, after you did season one of Cheers and you came back for season four, Don Juan as Hell, did they just call you back or did you audition for that one?
I think they just called me back. I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure they just called me. It's always nice when people just call and say,
Yeah.
"Come and do something." I mean, even now after working forever, I can't stand auditioning. I hate it.
That's actually why I only do backstage stuff in theater.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to rehearse. Scares me. Another Cheers related question. Another person would like to know: did portraying a gay man in the Boy Meets Bar episode have any effect on your career or personal life? Because, like you said, the time when it was happening.
Um, no, no, because my character wasn't important enough. As you say, I'm in the background. We were all in the background, most of us. I think Michael may have had a little bit more because he was so outwardly gay. Um, Alan Autry, of course, had a big role. I think I assume Alan is straight. I don't know. I mean, people didn't talk about it during the episode much. But I didn't have that much to do, so I didn't get pegged as that character.
Right.
And I tend to be a reasonably private person in my life, so it really didn't affect me. I was just very glad that the episode happened, and yeah,
Yeah. Well, I always think because that last scene where you and I don't know the other actor's name that kiss George went Norm
yeah,
on the cheeks. I think that's what
right.
they were thinking when, which is obviously a big thing. And I
Well,
found out when they did that, apparently they were supposed to just stop right after you guys kiss him on the cheek, but nothing happened. There's like no laughter, so they added the line where Norm says, well, I can't tell you who says because in a little bit I'm going to ask you some trivia questions, see what you remember, and it's going to be the answer to one of them. So you have to wait to find out what he said. I'm keeping you
yes,
in
well,
suspense.
yes, I think I had read that as well, that they had added to it. I don't remember doing it in front of the audience and there not being any laughter. I just don't
Yeah,
remember that. Um, it happens a lot, actually, in the form that
yeah,
things that you think are funny in the rehearsal room just don't work.
yeah,
And as I say, it's a very difficult form. There are some things that when you read the script the very first time, in with when the cast gets together on the Monday or the first day of rehearsal,
yeah,
um, you think this is really funny, and the writers come in the next day and they've taken it out because they didn't think it was funny, or it's funny the first day and everybody laughs the second day, and then the third day people don't laugh as much because they know the joke already, and by the fourth day they've rewritten the line, this really funny line, because for 3 days in a row they're not laughing as much anymore, and they lose heart. So it does happen, unfortunately, a lot, that you go into uh, the production in front of an audience and the script has been rewritten, all the good stuff has been taken out, and they
yeah.
put in this other stuff that they haven't had a chance to rehearse properly, and it falls flat. And so there's a laugh track.
I know. I remember reading Jackie Gleason when he did Honeymooners.
Uh-huh.
One big reason he did not like to rehearse when the others were rehearsing, which caused problems because he didn't always know his lines, but he didn't want it to be so rehearsed that it was stale and not fun anymore.
Yeah, I can understand that. Must make it very difficult for other people.
Yeah.
I don't remember, I grew up watching The Honeymooners. I'm a little older than you.
It was my
But
mom's favorite show, so
I don't remember. Well, I haven't really watched almost any television um, since I went to college. When I was in high school, you couldn't drag me away from a television. I spent my entire 10 years in front of a television set. And then I went to college and I really basically have never turned it on again. I don't have a television set in my house. Um, uh, I can't remember whether The Honeymooners was done on four cameras or one camera. Certainly they didn't know how to edit videotape, although it may have been done on film. My memory is that it had a look of film,
yeah.
and they could edit that a little bit better. But I just don't remember technically.
So this may sound like a dumb question, because I hear people talk about the multi-camera versus single camera
Yeah.
sitcoms. From an audience perspective, like watching it on TV, can you tell what kind it is? Because I have no idea how to tell if I'm watching multi-camera or single camera unless the actors are talking about it and then I
Well,
hear it. But
I generally can tell, um, because you can do much more elaborate things with single camera. Um, Often the sets will look different. When you have these wide open sets that you have to be able to have four cameras running simultaneously. Um, and there's something a little artificial about those sets. Um, when you look at families in sitcoms that are done with four cameras, they all have these magnificent homes with big living rooms and kitchens that go on forever, but it's sort of necessary technically to be able to move things around. It's up to the art director to make it look seedy, for, one day at a time. She was not a wealthy woman, um, but she had a nice big house. So, the art direction has to comes becomes very important at times like that. But for single camera, you can be much more intimate, I think, than you can for the multi cameras. And I'm sure I get fooled, can be fooled all the time. As I said, I don't watch a lot.
I tell people I don't watch any movie, well, some movies, but for the most part, I don't watch anything or listen to anything after 1999 because I graduated from high school in 98. I was like, and
Uh-huh.
everything else is a bunch of garbage. There's some things I do like, so it's not all stuff. And that's when I realized I'm getting old too. So I have some Cheers
Well,
trivia from
we're all,
just the first episode.
yeah.
See
Oh
what you
God,
remember.
I'm not gonna remember anything.
It's okay, you don't lose points. And the
Okay.
cold opening of the boy, these are all from Boys in the Bar. Who is shooting pool? Diane's cleaning in the background.
I have no idea. No
Harry the
idea.
Hat. Harry Anderson. Harry the Hat.
Oh. Well, I totally forgot that he was in that episode. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he's only in
knew.
that scene.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah,
then I'm not sure that I had anything to do with him
yeah,
until Night Court.
yeah. That you only did you do more than one episode
I did too.
or two? Okay. The one where he wants to quit his job and he's on the ledge there trying to play a prank, and you're ready to kill yourself, and you're talking to him. Great episode.
Well, that,
It's one of my favorites.
that was fun.
What is the name of Sam's baseball friend who comes out as gay in his autobiography?
No idea. No idea.
Tom Tom Kendall.
See,
But
I
you
told
remember
you
who played
I'm
him.
not gonna. Huh?
You did remember who played him because you said earlier.
I
You
remembered
know,
Alan. Yeah, I
Alan
remembered
Laundrie.
Alan
Sorry.
Arthur. Yeah, yeah.
What is the name of the bar that Norm says became a gay bar overnight?
Not a clue.
Vito's Pub.
Vito's Pub. I don't know the place.
What does Cliff say was the first Thursday of every month when he tries to get rid of everybody in the bar?
I'm dying to know.
La, uh, Viva la Difference night.
Uh-huh.
Because he
Uh-huh.
says they all go home to their power tools and wives trying to sound masculine. After the two men kiss Norm on the cheeks, he points to one of them and says, "What?"
I read this. He said, better than my wife or something like that. Or
Oh, so close. I was actually better than Vera, but that is his wife, so
yeah.
close.
Yeah, no, but I know that because I read it
Yeah.
when I looked up something about the episode in the last couple of days, and I saw that. I was sort of surprised when I found out that they had added that, but again, I just don't remember.
I was very sad when George Wendt died. And
Absolutely.
man, it was on the anniversary of the when Cheers was final episode too,
Really.
May 20th. Yep.
Well, he was, well, they were all nice people. They were all very nice people. Um, I I don't know whether what I'm about to say is accurate or not. Um, you sometimes hear stories about Hollywood and they're just not true.
Yeah.
Um, but I heard a rumor at one point that the episode was written with George in mind to a certain extent because he had a certain amount of homophobia and that they wanted to sort of address that in the script. And I'll tell you, I never saw anything like that. Maybe, he saw the script and it all went away. He was a very sweet man, very easy to work with. I never saw anything like that. But it would be interesting if that is in fact true. Maybe if you ever talk to somebody who was deeper into the production side of the episode, it might be interesting to find out. But he certainly played along with the whole thing and had a good time, and we all did. I mean, I was the one who kissed him, and he certainly never slapped my face.
Yeah. However, it wasn't you that was better than Vera. It was the other guy whose name I don't know.
I don't remember.
It's funny because I've seen you on a lot of things. Like I said, I saw the Night Court, I saw Barney Miller, and you always look different to me, except for like it's your face and actually it's your lips that look the same in everything you do. And I was like, it's amazing because I didn't like. I was like, oh, that's him. That's it. I was like, I didn't know that until I went. I was like, I've seen a lot of his stuff.
Well, I've been very lucky that I've not really been typecast. It it has meant that I've not had the series, like talking about Max Gale and people like that. You know them because they look like that, and that's not happened to me. I've been able to do comedy. I've been able to do serious stuff, drama. I've been able to do farce and more almost documentary type film. Um, and that's made my life very exciting. I love working. Now I've got the mustache now because I'm about to do a play. I need the mustache for the play. So I'm slowly growing it. It'll be ready in a couple of weeks. Um, but I've been very lucky in that respect, doing a wide range of characters, and it keeps it interesting. I don't sometimes know how people who do the same kinds of roles over and over again, uh, how they do it, keep it alive, keep it interesting.
I know my mom was a major John Wayne fan to the point anytime a movie was on, you were not allowed to talk those over. And I remember she was telling me, and she saw him on some interview, and he said that people are like, "Well, don't you get sick of playing the same character because you always play a Western cowboy type thing?" And he was like, "No, he's like, that's what I know how to do, so I do it, and I get paid for it."
Yeah,
But some people are like you; they want to do different things.
yeah. I mean, I would love to have my own series and play, some character that I loved for years. Um, Never happened. I did one for 3 seasons in a major role, and that was very exciting. But it was someone I mean, it was in a show called The Man in the High Castle, and I was playing Heinrich Himmler, and so the character is inherently interesting. But I don't know. Olivier once said, never do a long run. It's death." And he didn't like to do long runs of plays for that. You have to keep it alive, keep it fresh.
I think that's why I like live theater because even if you do the same thing, it's always different. I mean, even like,
Yes, from night to night, it's always
yeah,
different. The performances. On the other hand, I'm told there was one woman who was in Cats from the very first performance to the time it closed. I mean, she must have gone stark raving mad by then, although she must have been quite wealthy by that time as well.
when I was in high school, I was in the drama club from 10th to 12th grade. And we were they're thinking about what plays are going to be done, whatever. And somebody was like, well, why can't we do cats? And the customer goes, I'm not dressing people in a bunch of freaking cats.
That's right. Yeah. No.
Okay. Oh, you mentioned you were doing a play. I was going to ask you, what play are you doing?
Oh, this is one I've done before. It's a one man show, one person show, based on a memoir written a few years ago by a Holocaust survivor, a man named Eddie Jaku, and he survived um, Auschwitz and Buchenwald, and I think he was about 25 when the war was over. Moved eventually to Australia, lived a long time in Australia, and when he was 100 years old, he wrote a memoir about his life, and it's called The Happiest Man on Earth. Um, and a playwright by the name of Mark St. Germain, who has written many plays, but he's probably best known for a play called Freud's Last Session about Sigmund Freud. Um, got the rights to Freud's Last Session. Anthony Hopkins just did a movie of it last year, so it's a good play. Um, and Mark got the rights to transform the memoir into a play, a one-person play. And I had done four different productions of Freud's Last Session, um, and Mark had seen me do it, and they asked me to do the original production of Happiest Man on Earth, which was done 2 summers ago in the Berkshires at Barrington Stage Company in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. A very excellent, excellent summer theater in the Berkshires. And we did it early in the summer, went very well. Audiences loved it. So we did it again later in the summer, and audiences loved it. Then last summer, uh, we did it again at the Contemporary American Theater Festival. And then this last November and December, I did it in London. And now I'm about to do it in Denver at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. And that will open in the middle of September. And I'll be doing it through November 2nd. Um, but I've got the mustache. It takes me about 3 or 4 weeks to grow the mustache. Um, but I'm leaving next week to go to Canada to do a short film, and I have to have the mustache in place by then because I don't have enough time to grow the mustache in between the film and the production. So
Right.
I have to have the mustache for the film so it'll be ready for the play.
And what's
But
the
that
film you're doing?
the film it's a short film, a 30-minute film. Um, um, it's a very interesting script based on the author's family. Her mother had some mental issues, um, and the movie deals with that, with the her parents' marriage, and then I'm not going to give anything away. There's an aspect, a romantic aspect to the movie of of it not being completely real, of wish fulfillment, of how things might have been um, to the film. It's a really lovely script, and I'm actually playing her father, um, and I'm very excited about doing it. We're going to be doing it in Montreal and New Brunswick.
Awesome.
So,
And I have two more questions, but not counting the shows that you've actually been in or movies, any of it. What is your what was your favorite show like?
well, is that for film and TV or for everything?
Yeah, for everything like
For everything?
that you've seen. What's your favorite thing to watch?
Oh, to watch.
Yeah, what was your like
Well,
your
not
favorite?
not necessarily to be in, but something to
Right.
watch.
Yeah. So I said not counting what you were already in,
Well, it's
but what did you?
interesting. I recently saw a video clip of Meryl Streep talking about her favorite 6 favorite movies, and I started thinking, what are my six favorite movies? It was very hard to come up with them. Um, but the ones that came to my mind, Terry Gilliam's Brazil. I loved that movie. Blade Runner, one of my very favorite of all times. Casablanca with Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. Um, and then Bogart did another film right around the same time, which was a spoof of that kind of film called Beat the Devil, which is a great movie. It's very funny. And it's following, and Peter Lorre is in it, all of those people who were in the film noir um, doing a spoof of film noir. If you ever can find it, it's a funny movie. Um, there's a movie called The Miracle at Morgan's Creek um, by Preston Sturges. That's one of my favorites. Um, some of the greatest performances I ever saw. I actually had a chance to see a movie of Brecht's Mother Courage. It was a film of a stage production that they'd done in East Berlin uh, with his wife Helene Weigel playing Mother Courage, and it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Drop dead amazing performance. Um, Meryl Streep, anything she does is worth watching.
Yeah, she's
Um,
great.
she's pretty amazing, pretty amazing. And I love going to the theater and being taken away. Just take me to another place. It happened last year. I went to see something called The Hills of California in New York on Broadway. Um, just spectacular, spectacular work. And you sometimes they're not the greatest plays. Hills of California is, but when it all comes together, um, I loved last year the production of Merrily We Roll Along with Jonathan Groff and God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Played Harry Potter. Um,
Oh, Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe. And when I heard that Daniel Radcliffe was going to do that, I thought, my God, this man was born to play this role. And I had to go and see it. And it was a spectacular production, you know. There, live theater, when it's done well, is the best thing in the world.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I prefer musicals to the straight plays, but I like them both. I like to work on the straight plays better, but I like to watch the musicals better. And yeah, like the place could burn down and I'd be still glued to the stage because I get so into.
That's right. And just the act of going to the theater is almost a religious experience. I remember after COVID, um, not being able to go into a theater for a couple of years, and Barrington Stage in the Berkshires did the very first play that I was aware of after COVID, um, and I went to see it. It's actually I never can remember the name of it. It's a wonderful play. Reed Birney and his son were in it. It's a character's name. I can't remember. My memory sometimes is terrible. And it was directed actually by the guy that uh, is directing my one man show, Ron Lagomarsino. Um, they had taken out half of the rows of the seats in the theater so that people were sitting not one row but two rows. In other words, there was a lot of space around you. They'd
Right.
taken out a lot of space, seats, so that you could be in the theater and not be sitting right next to people, and you had to wear a mask as well. And I went to see the play, and I sat in the theater, and as the lights were going down to start the play, all of a sudden I burst out in tears, just weeping. because I was finally back in a theater. It's a The theater started as a religious experience, in Greece as we know it, and it still is. When you go and see good movies, when you see good television, good theater, it can change your life. And I feel totally blessed to be able to be in a profession where I can interact with people who are giving of themselves to an audience that can be transformed by what we do. It's a gift. It's a gift to me to be able to do that. And I love what I do. That's why at this point I have no intention of ever retiring.
Nice. I think it's good not to retire because people seem to retire and then they die right after. So I think if you
Yeah,
enjoy what you're doing, Dick Van Dyke wrote a book called Keep Moving, and he talks
yeah,
about that
I think it's
because you got to keep
important.
going.
Yeah, you got to keep going. Yeah.
So, did you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with the listeners?
I think I just did.
You did actually, but I wonder if you know anything else.
I hope they're not my final thoughts, but those. I just hope that people will keep on watching and keep on enjoying, and write to producers and ask them to have me back and do more, because I love being asked to come and do more things. It's nice.
Your one man show, is it ever going to go to Broadway at this point? Do you know?
We hope so. That's the
Because I
idea.
can't get to Denver, and this sounds really like a good show.
Yeah,
And
it
I'm
it
already in
is
New York.
it is very good, and the reason we're doing it in Denver is we're hoping that the producer will be able to find the money to bring it
Right.
into New York. Yeah, doing it in London was so exciting and was a dream come true for me to be able to do the play in London. It was very well received. I mean, it wasn't done in, the West End, one of the big theaters, but it was done in one of the really good smaller theaters, a place where the new Broadway musical Operation Mincemeat started in that theater, and so doing it in London was really a dream come true. But it was very difficult to move from New York, from London to New York. And the idea is to do it in Denver now, and hopefully the next stop will be New York.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Well, I hope it gets there so I can go see it because it sounds good.
thank you. I think it is, even if I'm in it myself.
Is it hard to do a show where it's just one person as opposed to having other people? I think that'd
It
be
is. I mean, I've done, this is the third one-person play I've ever done. And the first one I actually wrote myself many, many years ago, about James Boswell, the biographer of Dr. Johnson. It actually went very well. The audiences liked it, but it's a little recherche. Not everybody looks and says, "Oh, James Boswell, I have to go and see a play about him." Um, the Holocaust is equally difficult, to it's a tough sell sometimes. And I think that may be one of the reasons, and particularly in this political environment, to be able to raise the money for that kind of a show. But it's a very audiences are very moved by it. I mean, somebody telling what it was really like to live through these things that are very difficult to even comprehend. Um, but the what I realized doing the first and the second one-man play was that doing one is like running a marathon. You really have to pace yourself. It's just you out there. I mean, it's just me out there talking for an hour and a half. And you can't just, well, you can. You don't want to just sit in a chair and not move around. I once saw Vanessa Redgrave do one where she just sat in a chair, and she was extraordinary. I mean, it was Vanessa Redgrave. But for the most part, you move around, you do things, so you're active, you're talking, you're walking, you're interacting with the audience, and it is exhausting. It's exhausting mentally and physically. And so you just have to prep yourself for that. And in between uh, on two show days. I do a lot of napping in the middle of the day. Do a lot of napping, period, just to keep my energy up so that
Yeah.
I can go off and do the show again.
If you get tired during the show, just tell them you're going to take a nap.
I no, the when I'm doing the show takes over,
Yeah.
and then
Oh yeah.
when the lights come down, I collapse.
Yep.
So yeah, but I'm looking forward to doing it again. It's a wonderful play, and anybody who can get to Denver, I hope you'll come and see it.
I would like to see it. That's far. So I wanted to thank you for letting me do this interview with you. I very much appreciate it.
And I appreciate being asked. Thank you. It's been lovely.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye. So if you like this episode, please follow. Please like, subscribe, and follow. And as always, you can follow us on Facebook. Cheers, that's one woman's opinion. And you can join us on follow us on Instagram. Cheers, one woman's opinion podcast. Uh, Twitter at one woman's opinion. And you can always email us at cheers one woman's opinion podcast at gmail.com. And I was very excited to be able to interview Mr. Kenneth Tigar, and I really enjoyed this interview. So I hope you all enjoyed it too. And I want to remind you that the Shelley Long birthday movie rewatch will be on her birthday, August 23rd. And I'll be rewatching Troop Beverly Hills, which I think I saw before, but I have no memory of. Thank you. And that is one woman's opinion.